Today, we are going to sketch a quadratic curve. First of all, you must be in position to know the general form of a quadratic expression, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So the a tells us whether our curve is the minimum or a maximum. So the a, the coefficient, the a, which is the coefficient of x squared, actually tells us the shape of our quadratic graph. So before you start sketching, you must know the shape. And then secondly, you must know how to get the coordinate of the vertex. How do we get the coordinate of the vertex? We get coordinate of the vertex by completing the square. And then next, you must know how to get the x-intercept. The x-intercept is when our graph crosses the x-axis. So basically, it's like solving, because we know that on the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. And when you equate your y to be 0, you'll be solving a quadratic equation. So you need to know that whenever you solve a quadratic equation, you get the points when your graph crosses the x-axis. And then the y-intercept is when our graph crosses the y-axis, and we know clearly that on the y-axis x is equal to 0. So let's start by sketching y equivalent to x squared minus 3x minus 4. So first of all, the coefficient of x squared is positive, meaning the shape of this graph is going to be a minimum. The turning point is going to be at the bottom. Then next, we must know how to get the coordinate of the vertex. So completing squares. There are various ways of completing squares, and I posted one, so you can check out on how to complete squares and then get the coordinate of the vertex. So when you complete squares, the expression we have here, we end up having 1.5 and negative 25 out of 4 as our coordinate of the turning point, meaning that is the coordinates at the bottom of our graph. Then next, the x-intercept. X-intercept is when our graph crosses the x-axis. So you need to know that actually, when you make your y to be 0, you'll be solving what we call a quadratic equation. So according to what I have here, when I make my y to be 0, I end up solving the quadratic equation. If you don't know how to solve, please check out one of my videos, and you'll be able to learn how to solve quadratic equations. So here I used factorization. So when solved, I got -1 and 4. It means that my graph will be closing at -1. You can see clearly, and also closing at 4. So meaning whenever you solve a quadratic equation, you will always get the point where it closes. You always get the point where it closes the x-axis. And whenever you solve a quadratic equation, you will always get 2 coordinates. So it closes because it is either u or n, so meaning it will be closing twice. If it is solvable anyway. Then next, we need to know our y-intercept. So in our equation, which is y equaling to x squared minus 3x minus 4, when you make your x to be 0, then you end up having y as -4, meaning it will be closing at coordinate 0, -4. This is A level, so when you're sketching, we are not accurate because we are not even given a graph paper in a paper. So what you have to do, just look at the turning point. Just, it is a sketch, so identify it, write it there, that is a turning point. Also identify when it is closing the y-axis, and also identify when it is closing the x-axis, and then join through. And that's all about sketching a quadratic graph. So you must know the 4 things. You must know the shape before you start. You must be able to get the coordinate of the vertex by completing squares. You must be able to get the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And so when you get all that, the rest is you just, sketching. So we go to the next one. So we are going to sketch y equaling to 16x minus 7 minus 4x squared. First and foremost, you can see clearly that this is a quadratic equation and the coefficient of x squared, if I'm to rearrange it, is a negative. So if it is a negative, it tells me that actually it is a maximum. It is the turning point is at the top. So the coefficient of x squared tells you the shape. So since it's a negative, it means the turning point is at the top. So it is very important for you to note that before you start. Then next we get the coordinate of the vertex by completing squares. And please don't forget to look out on my video on completing squares if you don't know how to. And when you do that, you end up having the coordinates of the turning point as 2, 9. So now next, we need to know when it crosses the x-axis. So first of all, I used factorization. There are so many ways of solving a quadratic equation. So I used factorization and then worked backward, and I also put that in one of the videos on how to solve quadratic equations. Then y-intercept, make your x be 0, and you end up having 0, -7. So the next thing is you identifying the turning point when it crosses the x-axis and when it crosses the y-axis and join through. And that's how you get that, and that's how you sketch and get your graph. So it's not really hard. So there are 4 points that you must take note. You must know the shape before you start. You must be able to get the coordinate of the vertex. You must be able to get the x-intercept and then the y-intercept and then sketch. And we don't, in A-level, we don't use a graph paper, so you just have to join through. Please, if you've not subscribed, subscribe for more videos.